Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Trailside Chats with Mindy and Jac. I'm Mindy.
I'm Jac.
We just finished a wonderful brisk hour run at one of our favorite running spots, Little Mountain in Mount Vernon, Washington. It is brisk and rainy these days, but it was great.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about like what we're working on, like personally and emotionally, to kind of grow ourselves, like always working on being a better you. And one thing that I'm specifically working on, it's partially why I have started doing this, was climbing and public failure. So like I have a tendency to try to be a perfectionist and like make everything exactly so, and I'm in control. And for me, climbing was really good because I was able to kind of show up and be like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work this problem. I don't know if I'm going to complete it, but I'm going to do it in front of all you people that I don't know. And at first it was kind of like, I'm sure I didn't show this outwardly, but it was like a very stressful thing. Like I didn't feel comfortable. And eventually as I did it, it was like just so rewarding to be like, okay, we're going to actually work on this. And it was far more valuable to figure out how to work on a problem with people than actually do the problem and complete it. And then the other thing that climbing has been great for me is like being scared. So like, and doing it anyways. So like when I did some like outdoor climbing and I did some leading, I was working on like a 5'10" or 5'9" or something, but something sketchy that I was scared to try. And I just told everybody, like, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to do this. I'm probably going to just not be able to clip after this clip, but I'm going to try it anyways. So I just pushed myself to the point of where I was too scared to go further and just accept that was okay. And for me, that's like a huge step because like, first of all, I was publicly just saying, I'm going to fail at this and be okay with it. But also just like accepting the fact that, you know, I'm scared and I know that, you know, I might not be able to do this, but I'm going to try it anyways. So
would you say that you're generally a perfectionist?
Yeah. Yes.
So
yes, I am.
So failing at something can be very difficult. I can relate.
Yeah.
Did you use any techniques or self-talk or anything like that as you tried to overcome those challenges?
I think for me, like when I was doing I don't know, it was kind of like this point of just being like okay with the fact that I was not okay. Like I was existing in this moment that was like, okay, I'm gonna are you gonna do, like in my head I'm like, are you gonna do this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And so, you know, I kind of just like went through the process and like, okay, you know, I'm going through the motions of climbing this, but I'm actually climbing it, not only going through the motions. So that was part of it. And then I guess for like the climbing in front of people, I think it was just like at a certain point you realize that we're all doing this. We're all falling and it's fine. And nobody's like, you know, if you're just blasting through all the problems and you're climbing everything, that's the anomaly, not the falling. That's normal.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to a similar situation. I do the same thing when I'm mountain biking.
Yeah. And
come up to a really sketchy line and all of a sudden just bail. And then I stand there at the top of it looking at it. It's like, oh no, you can do it. And then I walk that feature and then come up to the next one and do the same thing and walk that. And finally, about the third or fourth time, I'm like, dang it, Mindy, just suck it up and do it. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to fall. Yeah. It's going to hurt. And well, you're really used to that.
I know. So. I was just going to say, didn't you like break your shoulder or do something to your arm? Your knee?
We'll talk about injuries in a different episode.
Okay, those are all things that have happened.
Those have all happened. You're correct.
It wasn't all either or. It was all.
Yes, every limb on my body at this point. But yeah, it can be really empowering when you finally get the courage to just face your fears and do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was not as bad as I thought. Mm-hmm. But it's so much mental hype getting to that point.
Right, yeah.
And then you do it and you're like, hell yeah.
I did that, yeah.
Awesome. What are some other things that you've been trying to work on overcoming or like challenges that you've been facing head on?
I think like just, that's what else am I doing?
You mentioned in, I think, episode 1 that you bought your first condo.
Oh, yeah.
Which was huge. And because I was
Yes.
waiting on you for a good long time.
Yeah. You put that money down and you're like, oh man, that was so many hours of work. I am very stressed out. Am I making the right choice? Do I really need a house? Could I just stay in an apartment? Like, all these things just go through your head. So yeah, I think part of that is just like saying, I make good decisions normally. I trust all the decisions that I've made thus far to get me to this point in my life. Like, I'm okay. So like, I guess that's one time that you're doing like positive self-talk and like kind of taking yourself through that situation and trusting yourself and trusting your friends, like we were talking about before. It's like running it by people who care about you. That's like very important.
Yeah.
Don't work in isolation. Bring more people in.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's been a huge part for me too. Yeah, so like condo and like making big choices, deciding to, stay in, like, I'm saying I'm going to stay in Washington, that's another part too. Like, I've committed to something, commitment, all those things run through your head.
That can definitely be scary.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What are some things you're working on?
A big thing for me this year has been just stress management and learning how to let go of a little bit of my neurotic control. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with COVID. Yes, that's very stressful in general. And just had a nightmare about a Paffer Hood project that I'd worked on last April. Last night was having nightmares that I had to do that project again. I was like, no!
Wait, you were actually dreaming that you had to do the project again?
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, but this is not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
So this year I focused a lot on trying to figure out how to manage stress, and my dear sweet husband is so patient in helping support that. And for me, a big part of that was learning how to verbalize when I need some space to just work heads down, or I need some space to just go work out by myself, to decompress, or knowing that I need to get extra sleep because I'm in this frantic cycle of stress and chaos. And I mean, I love to work. I only work on things that I'm really passionate about, like brands that I really believe in, or anything I do, I pour myself into, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
So, it gets to be the end of the week and it's like, oh, I've already worked 60 hours and now it's the weekend and I feel like I still have 20 hours work to do. And I could sit there at my desk and work 16 hours a day if I didn't peel myself away.
Right.
So it's really been a challenge to take care of myself, and that, we'll talk about some burnout and other issues and stuff like that. But it really got to a point where I was really mentally, physically, and emotionally burned out, and that really sucks. It's really hard to come back from.
Right.
So learning how to step back and face those fears,
kind of catch it early before it like gets that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not so much a fear as much as like being okay with knowing I can't do it all right now.
Right.
And the only person putting all of this pressure on myself is me.
Yeah, exactly.
My clients don't, you don't, my husband doesn't. So, it was just a lot of taking a step back, taking a deep breath and saying, calm down.
Yeah.
You're going to get there. You're going to do everything so much better if you can just bring it down a notch.
Right.
Stop operating at a 12.
Yeah.
Bring it down to an 8.
Yeah.
And it'll all turn out much better that way.
Yeah.
So that's been a big focus. And I think it's going pretty well. So
yeah. No, I think
I'll keep that up.
Yeah. Definitely think you're doing good.
Thanks. Thanks. So any of our viewers out there, we are super interested in hearing what fears you're facing this year, what stresses and challenges you've overcome, and what techniques have you used to help figure some of those things